A bit. So let me see if I can get this more straight. I said I was gonna read this, and there's like one video. This is like, so we gotta finish. We gotta do it, guys. It's been a bit since I posted. I am sorry. Life has been crazy. You know how it gets. So let's finish Twig. So we left off here at the little house. As there goes my name. Twig hadn't told her mama and her papa because they might think she was silly, but ever since yesterday she had been expecting a fairy to come live with her in the little house and keep her company and belong to her world. She had been expecting a pretty little fairy to come any minute all this time, but she hadn't seen a sign of one yet. Well, maybe today the fairy would come, said Miss Sparrow, sitting in the nest in the drain pipe's elbow, talking to herself. Poor Twiggy, poor little Missy, expecting a fairy. Why? Miss Sparrow hadn't seen a fairy since she was a wee bird in the country. She had never heard of a fairy in the city. She cocked her head back this way and then she cocked her head up that way, and after a while she cocked her head up this way again. Well, well, she said to herself, at least I can't sit here all morning cocking my head. I'd better get busy. She hopped to the edge of her nest and spread her wings. And there was a whir, and off she flew. Then over back in the yard, over the garbage can, over the fence, and away over the city, Twig watched her go. Then Old Boy and the ice wagon horse sneezed out in the alley. Oh, girl, the cat stood up on top of the garbage can and turned around and sat down. A voice called, Twig, come help me with these dishes, will you please? Should probably try that again. Twig, come help me with these dishes, will you please? That was her mama's voice. So Twig took her chin from the railing of the house and ran into the house. The next one is Elf. Miss Sparrow had been looking for Sparrow all morning. She had been looking for him everywhere. She had been flying hither and thither, up one street and down another, past buildings and houses and on pretty green parks, but Sparrow was nowhere to be seen. Said Miss Sparrow, talking to herself as she flew. I wonder where he can be this time. She flew near the front of a huge building, and it was a public library. She looked about once more for Sparrow, but Sparrow was not there. Well, I think I'll just drop down and sit for a bit before I start home, she said to herself. So down she dropped and sat on the corner of the top of the library step. People were coming and going, up and down. Miss Sparrow sat there resting her wings and watching the people's feet. She saw all kinds. Young feet, old feet, big feet, very big feet. And then she saw something quite surprising. She saw a little fellow, not much taller than she come out of one of the huge library doors. She saw him come out and begin to jump up and down on the top step, right among people's feet. His cap was very black on the very back of his head, and under the arm he had a bright red book about the size of a 2-cent stamp. Well, I never in all my life, said Miss Sparrow, hopping over to him. Come here, little fellow. before you step on." She guided him safely to the corner under her wing with her wing. There she began to jump up and down some more. He began to. He seemed very excited. "Why are you so excited, little fellow?" Miss Sparrow asked. He squeaked. "I say, why are you so excited?" "I'm going," he squeaked, jumping up and down. "Well, well," chirped Miss Sparrow. "Going where?" He stood still and lifted his shoulders several times and said, "I don't know," he squeaked. "You don't know?" Miss Sparrow began to chuckle. She couldn't help it. She chuckled till her feathers shook. And then she said, "Tell me your name, little fellow." So he told her his name was Elf. Everything on him matched. He was brown and crinkly like leather. Miss Sparrow reached over and pinched the edge of his jacket a little with her bill. "Well, well," she said, "what kind of skin?" "I say, what kind of skin are your clothes made out of?" "A potato," squeaked Elf, looking down at them. "Why?" "I just wondered." Miss Sparrow chuckled even more. Then she cocked her head this way and looked over Elf. She cocked her head that way and looked over Elf again. "Just the right size," she kept saying to herself. Just the right size. Let me show you the photo. That's the Elf. At last she said to him, "Little fellow, how would you like to hop on my back and come along with me?" "I'd like that very much," squeaked Elf. "Hop on then," said Miss Sparrow. So Elf hopped on Miss Sparrow's back and sat astride with his legs beneath her wings, and he held tight to her feathers on one hand, with the other he held his book. "Up we go," chirped Miss Sparrow, spreading her wings, and up they went. Soon roofs and chimneys on the street and the parks were all spread out below them. There were signs on roofs. There were smoke puffing on chimneys. There were all sorts of things moving down the streets, and there was green grass growing in the parks. Elf had never seen such a sight. He turned this way, and he turned that way on Miss Sparrow's back. "Sit still, please, little fellow," said Miss Sparrow. So Elf sat still, whistling carelessly little tune over and over, like the way little fellows do. "Where in the world are we going?" he squeaked after they began flying for a long while. "To the backyard behind the house where Twig lives," explained Miss Sparrow. There's the other picture. You see it? "Who is Twig?" squeaked Elf. "Twig's a little girl," explained Miss Sparrow. "Well, she's quite a big girl compared to you, but not too big. We like her, Sparrow and I." "Where do you and Sparrow live?" squeaked Elf. "In a nest," chirped Miss Sparrow without mentioning any of her little troubles. "Is there room in your nest for me?" squeaked Elf. "Plenty of room, little fellow," said Miss Sparrow, chuckling as she flew. "But I'm afraid our nest is rather up high for you. Down below is a pretty little house, just your size." Suddenly, Miss Sparrow darted up the alley, quick as a wink, turned and sailed over the fence into the backyard. She circled down and skimmed along the ground and made her landing. "Well, there we are," she said, rather out of breath. And sure enough, there stood a little house just Elf's size, with bright red pictures around it. Besides stood green tree, just Elf's size too, with lovely long green branches. There close by ran a little stream of water Elf's size. Why, Elf never seen anything like it. Quickly he slipped down from Miss Sparrow's back and ran to the doorway and the little house and peeked in. "Woohoo!" he squeaked. Does anybody live here?" No answer. "Does anybody live here, I say?" No answer. "Yippee!" squeaked Elf, jumping down. "I do, then." And thanking Miss Sparrow for the ride, he took a cap and walked in. "I thought you'd like it here, little fellow," chuckled Miss Sparrow. She hopped to the stream and took a drink of the drain pipe water. She chuckled again and then spread her wings and flew up the nest as if Miss Sparrow flew up the nest to see if Sparrow had come home yet. So that's page 20. So we're going to end there. There's no pictures. And so we will begin the next time. So this was page 20 to 13, and I lost my bookmark. So I will bookmark this, and then next time read another chapter.